Now, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, we are coming to a next highlight of this Public Group Management Summit 2011. You have seen on the agenda a guest speaker. How should I introduce this guest speaker? I tell you how I got to know him a few years ago. All started with an invitation where I was not sure at all whether I should accept it or not. I got an invitation to participate in an anniversary of a local newspaper in Gstaad, Anzeiger von Sahnen. A local newspaper in the Bernese Oberland. Finally, I said they are partner with us for more than 100 years. I go there, and I was a bit surprised, I have to say. That was a little anniversary party with 1,200 people in a wonderful tennis court room, sitting there listening to speeches during 6 hours from 5 p.m. until about 11 p.m., being totally quiet, almost as quiet as you, or even more quiet. And so with that, I got very much familiar with this local publisher. Later on, we got there and visited this local publisher together with the Search and Find division. And there the local publisher from Gstaad, the Anzeiger von Sahnen, said, if you don't mind, I would also invite to this event a friend of us who is quite a creative entrepreneur. I said, oh, fine, please invite him. And so Xavier Ferguson showed up. He didn't look like a Bernese Oberland kind of guy. And we started to discuss a little bit. And so I got to know, and we got to know Xavier Ferguson. He is a truly global citizen. He's British. He grew up in the States, inclusive of universities and so on. But more important, he's a very creative entrepreneur. A global citizen, a creative entrepreneur, and he has some tools for those of you who think multimedia, cross-media, interactive media, that's something for the big markets, for the big customers, for the big advertisers. I'm sure he will be able to tell you that the smaller the market is, the more the opportunities are fantastic to make money almost from first day on with creative all-media solutions. It's a great pleasure to have you here. We are all looking forward to what you have to tell us, how to make money in local markets with creative all-media solutions. Please welcome Xavier Ferguson.
Thank you, Hans-Peter, for that kind introduction and for the invitation to be here with you all today. In order to understand why I'm even here today, let me take you back even further than that Menuhin Festival night to the summer of 2007, to Gstaad in the Swiss Alps. Markus Beery, who was the division head of Public Connect at that time, he came to Gstaad to present the Publisher Connect solution to the local publisher, the Anzeiger von Sahnen. Now, I had moved to Gstaad 5 years previously, having exited a media software company that I was running in New York. And Frank Müller, the owner of the Anzeiger, he asked me to attend Mr. Beery's presentation, given the experience that I had had with digital strategies at such newspapers as The Guardian in London, the Los Angeles Times, and the Overture division at Yahoo. Now, I thought Mr. Beery's presentation was very interesting. And the next week we got together for lunch in Bern. And we talked about the strengths of local publishers, the fact that they have exclusive content, exclusive advertising, and that the readers, they consume local ads in the local newspaper as if those ads were content. That 84% of the consumers in Switzerland still pick up a local newspaper at least once a week. But the 2/3 of them also use the internet to find out what's going on in their local communities. We also talked about the challenges of digital local. The fact that all the local ad interfaces at the time were in the search and find format, and that this was largely unsuited to much of the advertising that appeared in a local or a regional newspaper. The fact that the main revenue categories of local newspapers were not those served by Publisher Connect. That local newspapers make 2/3 of their revenue from such things as display ads, events, obituaries, amtliche Anzeigen, all categories outside the main classified property, jobs and cars. We talked about the lack of scale in digital local, the fact that there are simply not enough people to make enough clicks to make any money. And we discussed the chronic oversupply of ad inventory at the local level. The idea that all of these editors, they write all these stories, they publish them on pages with ad space, each little new story adding to the supply of available ad pages, thereby pushing down the value of the ad space on all the other pages. But despite these challenges, we also agreed that we could and should combine the collective forces of our experience. That between Publicitas and my past, that we could come up with a plan. We didn't know what that plan was at that time. So having agreed to do something, I headed off to India, where I got together my old technology team from the company in the US for a week of brainstorming in the deserts of Rajasthan. And I explained to them the challenges and the opportunities that were presenting themselves in Switzerland. And we quickly agreed that we could develop something, a platform, to address the needs of small local publishers, that digital media, all media, didn't have to be the domain of large newspapers and of national advertisers. So back in Switzerland, Frank Müller, who's the owner of the Anzeiger von Sahnen, he was kind enough to let us take over his newspaper for 18 months. And we worked on the inside of his organization for a year and a half, developing a really deep understanding of the hardships of putting out a local, small newspaper on a day-to-day basis. And from scratch, we built up a digital operation for this small local newspaper. First a website, then later an out-of-home television service. And in 2008, we launched the Anzeiger von Sahnen all-media program, which proved an immediate success in Gstaad, both in revenue terms and with the local community. And this success allowed us to launch the Local Point platform, as it became known, in March 2009, as an all-media solution available to all local publishers. Fast forward 2 years, we're now an independent media software company registered here in Switzerland, Consenda AG, funded in part by Credit Suisse Ventures, now numbering 27 team members between our offices still in Gstaad and in New Delhi in India. The long-standing partnership with Publicitas, stemming all the way back to 2007, still in place. And these days we do nothing other than develop all media publishing systems designed especially for local and regional publishers. So why local? Because local publishing is profitable, but with little in the way of growth. And digital publishing has huge growth potential, but not much in the way of profit. So Local Point, we developed it as the bridge between the two, to enable local publishers to achieve profitable growth in digital media. So what is Local Point? It's the automated delivery of local news and local advertising to all digital channels. When we do this, we have 3 guiding principles. Number 1, short local news summaries and local ads to all channels. Number 2, a focus on not changing the way a local publisher works today. They simply don't have the capacity for it. And number 3, an obsession with return on investment for the local publisher. Local Point is about the paquet, the bundling of services in all media at prices so attractive that it makes no sense for consumers and advertisers not to use them. And we'd like to think there's really nothing that clever about Local Point. It's simply a common sense approach to local digital media. The best ideas brought together with the best technology and pragmatic day-to-day actions that enable local publishers to make money as well as headlines. So let's look at each of these channels in a little bit more detail. The first element is Local Point TV. Now, Local Point TV is the most visible element of the all-media program and the one actually with the highest perceived value. However, it's not actually a TV service, rather a web stream displayed on large format screens with PCs inside them. The screen here on my right is an example of such a screen. And these devices are configured for us, especially by Samsung, for the unique needs and cost constraints of local publishers. On the screens themselves is a dynamic mix of local news summaries and local ads. The summaries themselves are never more than 200 characters long, and the ads are shown in exactly the same form they appeared in the newspaper. These screens are positioned throughout the community in highly frequented locations such as cafes, bars, fitness centers, banks, doctors' offices, transportation hubs, all the places that people frequent as they go about their day-to-day business in their communities. And the screens are offered by the publishers to local businesses, who then use the displays not only to display useful local information, but also as a free point-of-sale marketing system to promote their own special offers and in-store news. The second element of Local Point All Media is Local Point Web. Local Point Web is essentially a development kit for a local news website. For a newspaper which has never been online, it is used as a first website. We also have many publishers who replace tired old websites with the latest designs and functionality that are contained in the Local Point Web platform. And for those newspapers that already have good websites, we simply supply the components to display the advertising in passive rotation right next to the news, just like it appears in the newspaper. So what's on these websites? Like in the TV service, we have short news summaries and the ads, just as they appeared in the newspaper. These short news summaries are available for free, and they're valued by readers because it's easy to consume large amounts of content very quickly, very easily. That's why every day, 1/3 of the readers of the publishers' websites using Local Point, 1/3 of them come back every single day to check out what's going on in their local communities. But short content is also the platform for long-form content. Digital subscriptions. Yes, it's true, 95% of users are happy with short-form content and wouldn't want to pay for anything. But there are those who are willing to pay because they want to be able to read the full stories on their iPhone, or because they expect the full information to be there when they click through from Facebook. So if they want to pay, let them pay. And for those who are not ready, the publisher isn't taking anything away from them because the short summaries will always be available for free on all the channels. With this approach, we've been able to put to bed this endless industry discussion to pay or not to pay, at least for local publishers. And why is this content strategy important to Publicitas, to ad sales? Because highly frequented websites that offer a satisfying consumer experience are the only kind with high quality ad inventory.